Okay, here guys, now I got some Who records to show you. The Who are one of my favorite bands. I just love them. When I first started getting into Who, I love their 60s sound. So I'll say that. But now, after listening to a lot more of their like 70s live recordings on YouTube and listening to live at Leeds a million times, I'm kind of more leaning towards their 70s live sound is my favorite. There's times when I'm in the mood, I love listening to their 60s stuff. Here I got like the millionth copy of their debut album from the UK, My Generation. I don't even have a UK pressing yet, but I have quite a few reissues. But I mainly got this. I didn't notice at first, but it's a single record version, but it has 4 extra songs on there. It has I Can't Explain as a bonus song, and that's just a classic song. Here, I didn't really want to get another copy. I don't know. I just didn't want to get another stereo copy of this record because I have a mono and a stereo already. There's nothing too different about this, but then decided to get it. It's a Happy Jack, the US album. The bottom here is completely different, this credit stuff. It's supposed to have, like, it's a rectangle box, has the Decca logo and some other stuff. So I don't know when this reissue came out, but it has to be like the late 60s. Figure why not get it. Okay, this next record is another order. I don't know how, but that's like 2 orders I got fucked over. But this record I'm actually going to keep because I didn't pay too much once again, around $25, but there's a good reason why I'm going to keep it. But I got another copy of the Who's Sellout, and I have so many copies of this record, different pressings and whatnot. But this is actually not my favorite Who record. I just really like the packaging on it and everything. I just find it one of the most interesting records to collect. But music-wise, it's not really my favorite. When I first heard the album, I didn't really like it that much. But it's kind of grown on me, and now I just really got to be in the mood because it's a really, really light album. I don't know why they wanted to do a really light sound because even their live shows at this time were a lot heavier compared to their sound on here. But the reason they did this album, it kind of makes me more intrigued about The Who because they have so many different sounds. But yeah, I actually ordered this record and it was listed under a 1973 pressing MCA. If you know about their 60s albums before Tommy, those albums in the 70s weren't reissued as like a regular album like this. Those were only put out in like double packs, or for some countries they had a completely different title and photo and just repackaged the songs. But they're never actually reissued like this, like a normal album, just different repressing. But they said that they had a 1973 pressing on there, and I'm not sure if they actually came out reissued for this, just the album itself. If they did, it's pretty rare, but I ordered it, and of course I didn't get that. I just got a regular US pressing, but I'm actually glad. I'm going to keep it because this copy is a really, really good condition. I have 2 other originals, and they're not nearly as good shape. The cover, it's not perfect. There's kind of like a crease on the corner there. But everything's intact. There's no splits, and you can actually completely read the spine over here. My other copies I have clear tape because they're just ripped. But yeah, and this record actually overall looks pretty good shape. So I'm going to keep this one because of that. Okay, this next record I thought was really interesting to get, to be honest. I paid $20 for it, and it's in the shrink. It's a compilation album of The Who and the Strawberry Alarm Clock, which is another 60s band. But yeah, one side's The Who and one's Strawberry Alarm Clock. Mainly got it because it's in the shrink. And it's on a weird Decca label. I believe this is from 69, but it has the MCA kind of in the way of the Decca label, which is kind of weird. Yeah, it's kind of a haphazardly choice of songs, even for the early career. But it's still pretty cool to have. Now guys, this one, I don't know if you want me to go in more detail about this record in a separate video, but I cannot believe that this was issued on vinyl. It's like a dream come true to me. But it was only put out in, I believe, foreign countries like the UK and stuff. wasn't put out in the U.S. and it really went fast out of print. But I managed to get a copy, and I think I ordered it from France or something like that. Took some time to get here. It was brand new too, and I'm so happy. It's a full concert of the Who live at Leeds, 3 LP set. And this is just a plastic bag over here. But yeah, I kept a sticker on here. It even has a free download. Yeah, it has this Obi thing. I was so happy. I was literally like out of nowhere and I wanted to get it so bad. I was listening to this guy's vinyl spin on YouTube because he actually put out the whole album on YouTube. This guy was nice enough. If you know about some of the reissues that came out on CD from like 95 and 01 and just like these deluxe versions on CD that have the whole show, and that they actually included some vocal overdubs that they did around the time they released it, and that kind of makes me a little iffy about it. But when I first heard the opening song Heaven and Hell, it was straight up the original vocal. It wasn't an overdub. The first line that you hear when John Entwistle sings is immediately a vocal overdub that he did. But on the vinyl, it sounded completely different. It sounded more like the other shows from this era. So I'm like, that has to be it. And I was hearing more, and I don't think there's any vocal overdubs on here, so I'm pretty happy about that. But in terms of being the entire show, this is still not the complete Live at Leeds, which I'm still upset about. But there's actually a CD online called Live at Leeds Complete. It's a bootleg, and it's extremely expensive. And it's actually the soundboard recording of Live at Leeds, which I didn't think was possible. There's actually, if you buy that, you hear the entire show straight out, the entire thing. There's even like the common songs like Magic Bus and My Generation that are on the originals. Those are, even on this version, there's parts of the song they edited out because they didn't want to include it, and it's still like that on this version. But on like the bootleg, there's only one recording I found from the bootleg, and it's Magic Bus, and there's actually parts of the song I've never heard before, and I actually heard it for the first time because it was a soundboard recording. It was really interesting. But yeah, sorry I went too much detail. But yeah, it's a triple record. I'm not going to bother showing the records, but if you want me to do a video more detail on this, I will. It has the whole Tommy concert and then all the other songs. I'm not too big on Tommy, but you might as well get the best version of Tommy available because I feel any song from Live at Leeds is the best version. And that may be because they touched it up a little bit, because their live shows around this time weren't as perfect sounding as Live at Leeds, so Live at Leeds is probably like touched up, but that's with basically any live album, right? Alright guys, this next record, I'm actually going to leave it sealed. It's a sealed record, and as you can tell, like the first record that I shown in the finds, the 10-inch Runaways record, I'm leaving it sealed. And I'm not usually one to leave records sealed, but over these course of times, I'm deciding to leave records sealed for their sake. I think it looks better, but if there's certain records, I'll open them. But yeah, I finally got a sealed copy of Who's Missing, which I didn't have this record. And it's a record from 1985. Yeah, and it's still sealed. It's kind of like a Rarities. There's some rarities and then some that are not really that much of a rarity. They're just not on a studio album. But it has like Shout and Shimmy and Leaving Here, Anytime You Want Me, which are pretty rare early ones. They were just really dependent on the country you were in that you got those. But then there's some that are kind of like singles, like Marianne with the Shaky Hand original version, I'm a Boy version 1, Heaven and Hell. So it's kind of like rare stuff. But I'm surprised that the song Relay and Wasp Man weren't on this record, because those are, talk about rare Who songs, because those were only singles. Wasp Man, I don't have any record of that song on it, I don't think. And then the song Relay is on Hooligans, which I have that one, but I don't know why they didn't include those two songs on here, because those are pretty rare Who songs. Alright guys, here I got this for $3, and I think it's my only solo Who album, but it's a John Entwistle record called Smash Your Head Against the Wall. And I love John Entwistle, The Who. He's probably one of the most perfect artists. Unfortunately, he passed away. I decided to get a solo record by him because it has Heaven and Hell, a solo version. And this is from 71, I believe. Okay, guys, I got this record and the next one too. They're both really rarity albums for my collection, and I got them online. You got another copy of Metallica's Kill 'Em All. I believe this is an original pressing Megaforce Records. And this actually looks pretty good shape. I thought it was a reissue because it just looks such damn good shape. People played the hell out of these records because these records are fucking awesome. Other thing I noticed is the label's a little different. So this may be like a second pressing or something. This came out in 83 and late 84 is when they got switched over to Elektra Records. So this has to be from at the most 84. So that's still pretty early pressing of their debut. But yeah, this is a great record. The other Metallica record I paid a lot less for, but it's pretty thrashed up a little bit. It's original of Ride the Lightning. Now this I know for a fact's original because the first pressing was Megaforce Records and the second pressing is when they got switched over to Elektra. The record actually plays pretty good, except on the song Escape there's like a chip or something in the vinyl. You can see that where my finger is. But I don't even want to bother playing that because it has a dip in the record. It's going to fuck up my needle, so... But yeah, it's a good placeholder for the collection for now. Ride the Lightning, compared out of the 4 80s albums, Ride the Lightning's not my favorite one because it has a lot different sound compared to the others, even though this is just the second album. But it's a lot slower, and some of the songs aren't just really my favorites, but it's still a classic album. And when I'm in the mood, I really like it. But yeah, here's an inner sleeve, which really looks really old. You know, it's only from 84, but yeah, this is when Metallica was fucking beast of a band. Alright guys, the rest of the video is going to be Beatles stuff. So here I actually have a John Lennon record, a record I didn't have. It was $15 I got sometime in New York City. But the reason I got it is because it's a Mexican pressing. The stereo. Yeah, it's a double record. Here's one of them. I'm just not too interested in collecting solo Beatles, to be honest. I don't know. That's just my personal thought, but it was a Mexican one, so I figured to get it. The first couple are Tony Sheridan stuff. So here we go. I got this for $10. It's the first movement. It kind of pisses me off because there's only 8 songs and 4 of them are not the Beatles. So yeah. Alrighty. Next record, I don't know if it's original, but it looks pretty great shape. $22. It's a Tony Sheridan. It says My Body. It says Tony Sheridan and the Beat Brothers. I believe it's the first LP I ever put out that have the Beatles on it. Out of the whole album, it only has 2 Beatles songs. My Body and When the Saints Go Marching In. I believe that's the only ones that are the Beatles on here. But it looks pretty good shape. It could be a reissue though, but from Germany too, of course. Okay guys, next record I paid $40 for, and I actually thought it was a pretty rare record, to be honest. I don't know how rare it is, but I got in the shrink too. It's the Beatles with Tony Sheridan and guest. In the frickin' shrink. I thought this album was rare at all to find. And I don't think it was reissued many times, so I believe it's an original pressing. Yeah, it looks great shape. Except there's a sticker residue on this side. But yeah, this is great shape. Alright guys, the next are all Beatles. I don't know if I've shown any in this. Maybe I just feel like I have because I've tried to record this video dozens of times in the past. That's why it's kind of been delayed so long, but then I kept getting more stuff. But here's Beatles stuff I believe I haven't shown you. Here, this is only $2. It's the Beatles Story. An album that's been kind of hard for me to get. I just stepped up and paid $20 for it a few years ago. And here I finally found a really cheap copy of it. It's on Apple, which is an album you wouldn't think that would get reissued because it's a pointless album. It's still cool to have. Alrighty, here this record was brand new, and talk about sealed albums. This is one I wished I kept sealed. because I opened it for no reason, and I feel kind of just mad about that. But I paid $25 for it, and it was a brand new, I don't know where this reissue even came from, but it's a brand new copy of Yesterday and Today, and it's a butcher cover, which I actually have a color vinyl copy, and I figured, hey, what if this color vinyl? But it's just standard, so open it for no reason because it's not color vinyl. But alrighty, here I have another copy Yesterday and Today. I paid $6, and it's reason why I paid $6 for this pressing. It's because it's a club issue. Alrighty, this record, like, I feel like I've shown this record. The pressing itself is just out of the ordinary to have. It's another White album I have, but it's a pressing from like the late 80s, probably 1988. You can see the label here. Double album, there's one of the records. And it has the poster and photos. The photos too, it's like a poster board here. But yeah, I ordered this online and pretty cheap. So I figured, why not get it? Because the pressing itself is just out of the ordinary. You don't see too often. Alright, the next record, I paid $12 for it, and I believe it's probably under the same pressing. And it's Yellow Submarine, so how that? That finally is not too long after getting the White album. So, alright guys. This, I don't know how rare it is, and I kept it sealed. I was gonna open it, but I haven't opened it yet, and I don't know if I will. Shrink got a little bit ripped on the bottom, I guess, because it's tugging it too hard. I don't know if I'll take it off. Well, you know what? Fuck it. We'll do a sealed reveal of this album, and it's the very best of the Beatles, 62 to 64. It says limited to 500 copies, white vinyl. Why not I open this? A lot of this is like BBC and that you probably have in Ed Sullivan's show. But yeah, we're going to open this on video for you. I got this probably a month ago or something. People do it like this sometimes. The friction. Here we go. Wasn't going to open it, but it kind of looked tight on the side, so... Okay, guys. First seal the revealed. Isn't that cool? There's actually some red on there. See that? So yeah, I really like the color on this, so I figured why not. Not for sale in the USA. Well, fuck you, I'm in the US. These next two records, I believe, are from a box set, but I got them separately, $8 each. Here's the first one. It says One, the Beatles box. It's a UK pressing. The cover on this is completely unglued, so it's falling apart, but... And here, like I said, here's volume 2. UK pressing again. Alright, I have a couple bootlegs, and a lot of these I got at one shot, so that was pretty great. This first one, $10, I wasn't going to really get because it didn't look too appealing to me. Kind of looked shitty, but I decided why not get it. It's the Beatles Comeback. I may have this record, a different bootleg of it, because I have one called Come Back. But I don't know if the track listing is the same. But alright guys, I got this one, $10. And it's the Beatles Shay, The Good Old Days. It's in the shrink wrap. This is of course just the Yesterday and Today Capitol cover, photoshopped. Yeah, it's basically just live recordings. Although there's one song called Falling in Love, which I don't know what that is. I haven't listened to the record, but yeah. Alright, this one I thought was cool to get. I paid $15, and it's 5 Nights at the Judo Arena. The Beatles on stage in Japan. I think this show is pretty good. I mean, it's not the greatest recording because of the era, but I thought it's a cool show. And it kind of has memories for me because I used to always, way back when I first got in the Beatles, one of their shows I listened to a lot. because it was actually available on YouTube before YouTube copyright everything. Yeah, they've done a lot of shows here, but it's really just common two shows that you hear, one with their black and one with their white suits. But they've done a couple of shows there with those suits, but I don't know. I kind of hoping the show's going to be a different one rather than one of those two common ones that you hear all the time, but I'm not too sure about it. Here's another bootleg. It doesn't actually look too much like a bootleg. $20 in the Beatles Conquer America. It's a lot of just Ed Sullivan stuff. It's a double record set, but yeah. This other bootleg I got called Ultra Rare Track Volume 1 and 2. But yeah, this is kind of a weird thing. Here's a double album. It says side 3 and 4 and side 5 and 6. But it's just a double album, so I don't know why they have it listed as it's a triple album, but there's only 2 records. But the track listing lines up to the cover, so that's what counts. And it has 2 papers in here that are literally exactly the same, just different color. Alright, we're getting really close to the end here. I paid $18 for this one, and I almost didn't get it because I have the record already. But I believe it's a different pressing. But I got the Beatles A Hard Day's Night, yeah. I've always loved this cover more than the UK one. It's a blue Odeon. And I believe my other one's a green. I don't have an original, but it's a different one, so yeah. Okay, here's a record I've paid 25 bucks for, and it's a Christmas album. Now this is a bootleg. Obviously, I don't think it was even officially released. It was just all issued on these singles, but the actual album, I don't think it was a real thing. It was probably just a club thing, but this is a bootleg. And it's on red vinyl, and it's on the red apple too. Here we go. I believe this is the last record. This is probably the most I've paid for a single record. I paid 70 bucks for. And I don't know, I'm just one that doesn't really likes to pay a lot, because I feel like some records you don't really have to pay a lot for, but I feel like this is acceptable. And it's with the Beatles, and it's a Japanese red wax mono. Yeah. This, I believe this is unplayed too. I thought I'd never see these before. Here's the insert. But yeah, this is it's from like the 80s, and it just looks brand new. I couldn't pass it up because it was in person. Online I wouldn't pay this much, but so yeah, this looks absolutely beautiful, man. Like, so yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed these 2 parts, and see you later.